right, I have to apologize before we start. I should be doing this in Ukrainian or Russian if you're from Kharkiv. I don't want to get involved. But I meet people, they're like, oh, wow, your Russian or Ukrainian is really good. And I'm like, I've lived here 9 years. They're like, oh, you're terrible. Yeah, so we're going to be doing it in English. So my name is Nicholas Day. I'm creative director at Kharkiv Studio in here in Ukraine, in Kharkiv. And today we're going to be talking about how crazy is good. I should have come up with a better name, but basically the idea here is basically there are a lot of changes that are happening in marketing on platforms right now that favor putting more effort into developing creative that connects with an audience. And we're going to talk about what we did for the Raid Shadow Legends campaign. Has everybody heard of Raid Shadow Legends? Have you seen our annoying pop-up ads? Good, it's working. Excellent. Oh, and I co-authored this with Lena Schulman, who's our marketing creative in Israel. She couldn't make it today, but she was a big part of this process. So we're going to start off with a video about Plarium, if it works. Which it doesn't. Uh-oh. If the video doesn't work, this is going to be a really short presentation.
Someone to see this video.
All right, have you guys heard of Plarium? Yeah, we'll skip this slide.
Okay, I'll turn on.
Okay. All right, so here's what you're going to get from today's talk. So I'm going to talk about why recent ad platform changes, specifically Facebook, inform how we make video creative for user acquisition. I'm going to talk a little bit about how to research your product and your audience, especially if you're trying to sell your games to people in different countries that you don't live in. This is very important. And also how to make outstanding video creative. And how to make that creative scale. If you're going to put the time and resources into making one of these things, you want to make sure that you can use it in like 500 different ways. So we'll show you how we do that. And you should know, everything that we did was produced here in Ukraine. We didn't outsource it to America. We didn't hire any other companies. We didn't go bring somebody from outside. This was all done in this country, so you can do it too. Yeah, there you go. All right, so we're going to talk about Raid Shadow Legends. Here's the really, really short version of what the game is. And as a marketologist or as a marketer, this is what you have to work with, right? Champions, it's got 400 of them. Right? It's got boss battles, it's got PvP, it's got unit customization, it's got social, it's got strategy, it's got PvE gameplay, and it's got really good artwork, right? That's the entire game. That's everything you need to know, right? And the game looks really good. The environmental art, the polish, if you like Diablo, if you like fantasy games like that, that's kind of the core DNA of the game. So based on this is an example of a perfectly fine video ad, right? Let's watch it real quick.
Get ready to raid. Explore and fight. Choose your champions. Defeat bosses. Win PvP battles. Raid Shadow Legends.
Not bad, right? Oh my God, that was loud. It's pretty good. Yeah. All right, so let's break it down. What are we looking at? The concept is, here's what you can do in our game. And it lists the product points. We show game engine footage, check, right? We've got the theme and the artwork, check. Is it low cost? Yeah, it's just game capture and motion design, right? Is it quick to produce? We can make one of these things in like a week and a half, right? So this is a great asset, correct? Wrong. No, it is, but we can do better if we're going to go on social. And this is the reaction that we got on Facebook when we posted it. It's got 300 or so emoji interactions. It's got 49 comments. Couple million views, but only 12 shares. So that's all right, but it could be better. All right, so this is an unconventional game asset, and this is what I'm talking about when I say kind of crazy. Let's watch this one.
I don't know, Doc. It's like I don't even know who I am anymore. I've just been forced into this attack role, and it's not me. I want to heal, but he never uses my support skills.
You mean your player? So let's talk about him.
Oh, my player. My player who gives every healing artifact to the elves. Who only lets me attack with blades of fire.
Well, I think we're making progress.
Raid. Your champions are deeper than you think.
Okay, so this one is pretty weird. Does it list the product points? No. Does it show game engine footage? Kind of in the pack shot at the end for like 2 seconds, like this big, but not really. Does it show the theme and the artwork? Kinda, maybe, not really. Is it low cost? Oh God, no. No. This was extremely expensive. Was it quick to produce? If by quick you mean 8 months, you're also wrong. It took 9. Sorry, video production department, it only took 9 because we had to make the models wherever they're watching. So, and then here's the concept: a game character in therapy for an identity crisis and relationship issues with his player. It's not really an obvious way to go, right? So when we came up with this pitch and we went to our marketing team, and kind of our big reaction is, why would we go in this direction? What is the point of doing it this way? Or in other words, why focus on unique video creative? And that's why, because it dropped our CPI by 30%. Who knows what CPI is? All right, so CPI is cost per impression, and this is basically the big number that tells us how expensive it is to sell our game, right? And we're going to talk about why we took this approach and how this was able to bring our cost per impression down this much and how we're able to leverage that across different channels. So lower CPI means less marketing spend, more marketing flexibility. We can go save that money and spend it on something else like influencer marketing. And we can get more players for the same cost. And to understand how this works, we have to go and look at Facebook algorithm sorcery. All right? A lot of changes happened in this last year. So in May 2019, Facebook made a lot of big changes in how they rank and price their advertising, right? So in May, first thing they did was they made their machine learning algorithm much smarter, and it started filtering out a lot of ads. So now you can't do vote baiting. Vote for this if it's your favorite, whatever. You can't do reaction baiting. Press like if you're a Libra. Can't do share. Share this for a chance to win a free convertible. It doesn't work, and it's spammy, it's annoying, and also now they punish you. You also can't do tag baiting, you can't do comment baiting. And not only does it not work, content that violates those rules will automatically be downgraded in the news ranking, so fewer people will see it, and Facebook will charge you more money to run that ad, right? So what do they like? And this is from a release that they did earlier this year, and the first sentence is really important. Page posts that generate conversation between people will show higher in the news feed, right? So this means meaningful interactions. It also means that friend content, like content that your friends post, will rank higher than content that comes from publishers. And it also means that the relevancy, which is determined by these two things, impacts the ranking and the pricing. So what is a meaningful interaction, right? There's 2 ways they measure this. They have passive metrics, which are like view time. How did they watch the whole ad? Did they enjoy it? Did they go 98% of the way through? What is the story type? What time was it posted? What category was it in? And we also have active metrics, and these are comments, replies, likes, and shares. And these are the things that we're no longer allowed to mess with copy, right? We can't cheat. And so the only way to get this stuff is to have people enjoy your content. It's a crazy idea. All right, so these are the results. So this is that first video I showed you, 2.5 million views, 40-something comments. This one has, I can't read it, hold on. Yeah, 1.3 thousand, 1,300 interactions here, 200 and something comments, and 4.8 million views. And if you look at the comments, like, oh my God, this commercial is amazing. I really enjoy it. I don't like Plarium, but I like your commercial, and I'll download your game. That's what we want. So the main takeaway with this is Facebook now curates their content based on relevance and trust, and the way that you get that is by making better content for human beings. And so the challenge that we have is, how do we make content that organically triggers meaningful interactions? How do we also impact the passive metrics? And how can we scale that across channels? Because Facebook's great, right? But that's only one of our many marketing options. And the way that we're going to do that is by making content that connects on a human level with people. All right, so now we're going to talk about how to make it. So before you do anything, before you come up with your campaign, before you even start doing your budget, you need to start doing your homework. All the stuff you're going to do before you sell this game. So the first part, knowing your product, and it's shocking. Like this should be obvious, but it's not. What are your unique selling propositions? Can you tell me in 30 seconds what is special about this game? What's cool? What makes it different from other games? What gameplay moments in your game trigger an emotional response? Like when you're winning, is there a fanfare? Do you lose? Are you arguing with people within the chat channel? Like what things actually make you respond to it on like a monkey brain level? What are your favorite parts of the game? you know? And what are your best in-game assets or characters? This is really important because it's going to be really expensive to make any of these assets. Like, you don't have to do it in CG. You don't have to hire a big production company. If you're 2 people in an indie studio with a GoPro, you can still make really good content. But if you're going to be making 1 or 2 things to represent your game, make sure that you pick stuff that looks good, that you only have to like design once, and that you can use over and over and over and over again in different assets. So if you're a big studio, your marketing team should play the game. Duh, right? And it's hard. Sometimes, you know, not everybody's going to like every game, but they should play the game. They should know it. And with Raid, like, our marketing team was playing this game for like months, and they were super into it. They were all at like a higher level than I was, and it really helped because they all understood what they were selling. Also, the communication between product teams and marketing has to be really, really good. You guys are friends. You're on the same side. You need to work together. You need to help them understand what's awesome about the game, and they need to help you understand what kind of content they need to show it. And also, very important, know where you stand relative to the competition. We have the best graphics ever. Like, do you? I mean, do you really? Okay. Oh, no, it's pretty good. It's pretty, but you have to go make sure that it's not like, this is the best thing I've ever done. I'm like, what have you done? You know? And if you're an indie, you're probably going to be having somebody else help with your marketing, and it's really clear that you do as much. Don't say, okay, here's some money, go sell my game, peace. You know, like, you need to be able to go and tell them all this research, all this. Here's a nice presentation about what is great in the game, what is cool, why it's going to resonate, what kind of players we think are going to like this. Like, help them as much as possible. And also with the communication, it's going to be fine because there's 2 of you and you're already doing everything. So don't worry about it. So with our game, we went through and we were looking at what is the strongest thing that we can pull out, and obviously the star of our game are the champions that we have, and also, you know, talking about how they have different roles, because damage dealers and tanks and buffers, you have those in MOBAs, you have those in strategy. There's a bunch of different genres that resonates with. And we started by picking champions that appear really early in the game, so that if they see the marketing and then they go in the game and they download it and install it, that's like the first thing they see is like, oh, I know that guy, he was in the commercial. So these are like the stars that represent our brand. Now we have to know our audience, right? So I'm not going to go into detail. Like, we have a whole research department, but it's classified, so I can't tell you anything. But what I can tell you is there's a couple great tools that we use for audience research, and SurveyMonkey is awesome. This allows you to do survey tests on like a very large scale. So you can go and get a representative sample of like 15,000 Americans between the ages of whatever and whatever, and then you can go and show them an early version of your game, you show them your marketing copy, you ask them questions, and this will tell you very statistically accurately, like, this 8.9% segment of our target audience is likely to download the game and spend more than $100 in a month. Anybody can do this. Like, if you're doing it yourself, it's going to take you weeks to analyze it, but you can do it. It's a little bit more expensive. PickFu is another service. This is awesome. It's really cheap. It's really fast, and this is like for questions like, is this good? I don't know if this is good. Hey, Americans, do you think this is good? And they'll be like, no, it sucks. I'm like, thank you. And this is a great service because you can get results in like 10 hours. It's really fast. It's really cheap. Anybody can afford it. And I use this to like second guess my own decisions. I'm like, I think I'm going to offend somebody with this. Is this offensive? Yes. Okay, sorry. And then there's Reddit, which is great. Go and look at other games. Go and look and see what people are actually saying about their games, and like what their fans are like and how they react to it and how do they talk. Facebook Insights is also really good. And they're free. There's no reason not to use these. You know what else is free? Looking at other games. So you can go to their forums. We did this with Raid. We looked at a lot of competitor games that were very similar, and we talked to their players. What do you hate? What do you like? What are the moments in the game that you like the most? If you could play a game that was like this but better, what would that look like? You know, so we got a lot of direct information from the people we're trying to sell the game to by asking them in the chats. This is also free, 50 free. All right, so we did a bunch of research on our audience. This is what we came away with. We're looking at what kind of movies do they like? What games do they play? Where do they live? How do they talk? What are they into? And this is just like a random cross-sampling. But we found out that a lot of them like Fight Club, a lot of them like Diablo, Summoner's War, The Witcher 3, because everybody loves The Witcher 3, right? A lot of them are American. A lot of them aren't just American. They live in California and New York. So what do I know about them? They live in urban populations. They're not in the middle of the country. They're probably a little bit more liberal. They probably have a little bit more money. They probably have college education. So we can get a really, really, really big profile of who we're selling this game to before we even start. And they're like, PewDiePie. All right, and now we're ready to start doing our pre-production. And that starts with brainstorming. Who watches South Park? Thank you. I see your truth. Wow, there's a lot of stuff going on here. So this is one of the things that we start off with is I start doing a mind map. So I've got, what do I know? These are RPG players that I'm trying to sell this game to. And a lot of these RPG players, what are they? They're smart. Like they know complex game systems, they're familiar with game terminology. Also, they think they're smart. like a lot of people who play like traditional RPG games would consider themselves serious gamers, right? So that means that I don't want to dumb it down for them. I'm not going to go explain PvP means player versus player. RNG means random number generator. I'm just going to use like the normal terminology and they'll be like, ah, yes, they get that I get it because I am smart. And we also have some things that we can connect them with. Like they basically they know what the character roles are. They know how that impacts. So we can start playing around with ideas like, all right, what would you do if you had a character who's a damage dealer, but he doesn't want to be a damage dealer? What would that look like in real life? Or other ideas like, if you've played a game and let's say you're like in World of Warcraft and you have like the first sword of lameness. It's like the cheapest, stupidest thing that you get in the game and you use it for like the first 10 minutes that you play, right? And then as soon as another one comes, you go and use that one, right? How does the first sword feel about that? What would that rejected, ignored? Maybe. Let's play with that. So we think about what that might look in real life. And then over here also, okay, let's say they're also Americans. So what can everybody in America relate to? We got sports, we've got humor, we've got movies, we've got TV tropes, really common ideas that everybody's seen over and over and over again because they work and they're familiar stories. And we can take that further. So let's look at sports. Getting left out, getting not picked, or humor like Monty Python, or movies, Fight Club. A lot of people liked Fight Club. So we have the group therapy scene where they're all in the basement and he's hugging Fat Bob. And then we can also go to life experiences, getting hired, getting fired, having relationship problems, feeling unfulfilled. And with relationship problems, let's say there's a relationship between players and their characters, right? So what would that look like? And we can connect it back over to here. And we come out with a whole bunch of ideas, and this is sort of what we came up with for this campaign. Identity issues, relationship problems, getting fired, getting picked last, anxiety, support groups, job interviews. And the main idea was like game characters in real life and how they interact. So first thing that we do, we start writing. You write a first draft, you step back, you look at it, you get everybody else in the team involved, and you're saying, is it funny? Does it work? Is it accurate to the game? Will viewers get the situation? Does it land? Do we have an emotional response? Do people laugh? Do they cry? Does it work in 30 seconds? It's really important. Almost every video format that you're going to be using, always with cut downs, 30 seconds is about as long as you got. So you have to make it work in that time frame. And also, what is the cost? This is super important. This is why you need to get all the teams together, because I've had so many ideas where I'm like, hey, video department, what do you think? They're like, I think it's going to cost $4 million. I'm like, okay, bad idea. How about this one? Yeah, we can do that for like 20 bucks. I'm like, sweet, let's do that one. So it's really, really important that you get everybody's input and feedback, and you iterate and you share the idea. It's a collaborative process, and the more people that are in it, up to a point, the better it's going to be. Also very important, always consult a native of your target audience. And I'm not just saying this because I'm an American and I want a job. I've lived in Ukraine for almost 10 years. People ask, what do Americans like? I'm like, I have no fucking idea. I live in Ukraine. I'm 36. These are kids. I have no idea what they're like. Let's go ask them. So always find out. And if you're selling in the French audience, I would never write copy for a French audience because I'm not a French person and I don't know what works, right? And this is God, China, Jesus, I have no idea. So go and take that extra step. If you have a good idea, double check and make sure that's a good idea with the people that you're going to give it to, right? And again, you can do this over Facebook by making some friends in other countries. You can do this over PickFu for $50 and it takes like less than a day. It's worth it. I've screwed up content that we spent a lot of money on. Don't do that. All right, so next step that we did with this project, we had all these different ideas. We got a whole bunch of scripts, and now we do like a rough animatic. And this is basically like the early version of that video I showed you.
I don't know, it's like I don't even know who I am anymore, you know? I've just been forced into this attack role, but it just doesn't feel right. I want to heal. You know, he just never uses it.
You mean your player? Let's talk about him for a minute.
Oh, yeah, God, my player. Yeah, my player who gives every healing artifact to the elves, who only lets me attack with blades of fire. Sorry.
I think we're making progress. We're gonna stop our session here.
All right, so that's a super cheap, lame version, right? It doesn't have to be good. At this point, all you're doing is just double checking, does it work? Do you have enough core references for the shots? If you're a big company with in-house resources, then you'll take it further. If you're a smaller company and you're trying to get somebody else to do your creative, like you can use this as a reference and say, see that? Make it like that. And this is also where you start thinking about the timeline, the budget. Are you going to do it in-house? Are you going to outsource? Are you going to bring in additional resources? And now we're going to move on to production. I'm not going to talk about our entire video pipeline because we don't have 4 days. Just videos happen somehow. This is about how to make the ideas. So before you start doing production, if you're a big studio, you need to evaluate your in-house resources. You need to determine your budgets, determine your release schedules. And this is super important. Plan for economies of scale. And what I mean by that is you're going to spend a lot of time and resources doing this. Make sure that you're going to be able to use this asset in more than one way. And we'll talk about that later. Same thing for indies. Are you going to do it yourself? Probably not. If you're not going to do it yourself, you need to go and bid service providers, many of which are right here at this conference. Finding the right partner who actually understands your game is super important. And again, plan for economies of scale because especially with this, you're on an even tighter budget. You need to make every dollar count. And this is where we start iterating with the campaign and making sure that we are talking to humans and that they are liking the content that we're making. So let's watch this one. This was the next one in the series that we did.
Hi, sir. You wanted to see me?
Yes, Death Knight. Please take a seat. As you know, we're having a tough time in the dungeons. We have a lot of low-level champions such as yourself. I'm afraid I'll have to sacrifice you.
What? To who?
Brass Big Jaw.
You gotta be kidding me. I'm almost level 2.
Next!
Choose your champions. Raid Shadow Legends.
Aw. Don't you feel bad for him? So did our players. It's really weird. How do I... Yeah, here we go. Nope. Present. Help! It's in Ukrainian. Help! What do I do?
How did you get here?
Just lucky, I guess. There you go.
I'm trying to just make a second slide. Yeah, but how can I just came out of it?
Ah, there we go. Don't look at this. Don't look at this yet. All right. Okay, so with this one, we connected the game mechanic to a real-world situation. This is like in our game, you have to decide which champion you're gonna keep and which one you're gonna sacrifice for better champions. And so we made the whole scenario around that. We chose a really sympathetic character. We didn't use like some big giant monster. Like we chose like a little guy, right? And we gave him a human little guy voice. You know, he sounds kind of pathetic. That was on purpose. And you can see the emotions that we added even in his movements when he's walking in and like kind of hurts because he's a skeleton and he sounds, you can hear it in his tone and his voice. And people felt really bad for Death Knight. And the funny thing is with marketing, making your audience feel bad isn't usually what you're told to do. But this dropped it even further. This outperformed that first one. And it didn't just like outperform it a little bit, it blew it out of the water. So this one got almost 5,000 organic interactions with emojis. We got 554 comments. We got comments on the comments. We got likes on the comments of the comments. And we got 434 shares. So the money that Facebook charged us to run this ad went down, right? And this is like, so again, that's like saving almost half of the money that we're spending trying to do user acquisition. Here's the user feedback we got from that one. Am I the only one that keeps rewatching this? Oh my god, I love the animation, and I feel so bad for Death Knight. I felt bad for Death Knight, so I made him my main hero. I installed Raid Shadow Legends for Death Knight. If I play this, but I'm not going to, Death Knight will be more than level 2. Justice for Death Knight. Well, you'll see that again. And more, and more, and more, and more. And then ultimately, the public has fallen in love with Death Knight. There you said it, players. Okay, if that's what you want, we'll give you more Death Knight. And it even got to the point where he got his own Facebook page somebody made for him. And it started this trending hashtag, like Justice for Death Knight. And we're like, what do? Let's do more fucked up stuff to him. So then we started, because we have like 10 videos in our pipeline, now we still have time to go back and make changes to the other videos that we're still producing, like like adding Death Knight back into them. So here's another one. Please work.
I just keep dying. Every time. I've got the right gear, and my player, he's just amazing. He's really putting the effort in. I'm starting to think maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm worthless.
Worthless? No, we don't use that word in here. Okay, you're a 3-star damage dealer, right? That's his loss. Remember, in this room, we're all champions. Come on, you guys, bring it in. I think Skeleton needs a hug.
Your champions are deeper than you think.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Shadow Legends.
So this is kind of a result of like the Save Death Knight hashtag. Players love Death Knight, so we made him the star of our next video. And in this one, we made him even more sympathetic. And then, like the message is like, every champion has value. All of them do, you know. But then there's a screw up in there. Did you notice he said, I think Skeleton needs a hug? It's not his name, it's Death Knight, right? So we turned that into gold. Basically, we're not done doing this, but we worked with the voice actor, and so as soon as he says like, I think Skeleton needs a hug, we're gonna have the Skeleton like look at him like, and when everybody comes to give him a group hug, he's like, Death Knight! My name is Death Knight! Because they just forgot his name because he's useless. We're really excited at how upset this will make all of our players. And then they'll react to it, and then the cost will go down even lower for the ads, right? Here's another one. And this one shows the idea of like, again, moving on from your first character and sort of like making that connect to like a relationship scenario.
So who wants to start?
Yeah, I'll go. He never picks me anymore. I guess my skills just aren't enough or something. Here, watch this. Hey, hello? See what I mean? Nothing.
Yeah, I get it.
Over 300 champions. Someone's gonna get hurt. Raid Shadow Legends.
Kind of complex, but this one also got like a really good reaction and dropped our CPI. And we got another one over here.
Man, he never chooses me. Never. And I just try so hard, you know? I've got armor. You've got an aura skill. Isn't that enough? I know there's hundreds of champions, but we've got a lot to offer, right? I mean, am I wrong?
Yeah, you all do. That's true.
And like, oh, wait, what? Oh my God, I'm in. He chose me. In your face, losers. Woohoo! Arena champion all day. See ya.
Raid over 300 champions. Play them all.
We have fun. Yeah, so this one, the concept is a support group for neglected game characters that never get chosen, maybe because like the balance is off or something. And basically, again, playing with that idea of like how a character from the game might respond in one of these situations. So now we've got 5 videos. And again, like, we're a very large company with millions of dollars and a giant in-house CG team. So me saying, you can do this at home isn't really fair. But there's also some great commercial ads that people have done for nothing with pixel art, with a GoPro. It's all in the writing, it's all in the scenario, and a lot of it's, you can do a lot with creativity. So now we've got 5 of these videos. We're still making more of them. We're done, right? Wrong. Now we scale. Good business word. All right, so when we're releasing this, you know, we made this asset specifically for Facebook, but we're also doing it in multiple different formats. So full portrait and vertical, square, and full landscape. And these are the 4. There's other formats. These are the 4 that we work with the most. So this covers Instagram. This covers Facebook, interstitials. Basically, 90% of the output that you need to do for user acquisition will be there. We're also going to localize it, right? We're going to localize it in 13 or more languages. Okay. And then we're also going to go and do cut downs. So we start with a 30-second video, and then we've also got a 20-second video, and a 15-second video, and a 10-second video, which all kind of scale. So each one of those are unique assets. And this is what that looks like. So coming over here, this is one, let's say one of those videos that we chose, right, is over here. Now we've got it in 3 different, I know it's 4, we're just going to say 3 because I ran out of room for the squares. So now we've got it in 3 different aspect ratios. And now we've got to take all those and do localized versions of them, right? And then we're going to do them in the cut down. So now we start from one asset, and now we've got hundreds of different assets, right? But wait, there's more. The other thing that we can do is we can combine them. So that traditional asset that I showed you in the very beginning, like the really short one that's all gameplay footage, so we're also still making those, because those still also, they can tell a different message, they can show the game better, all that other stuff. But what I can do is I can take one of these videos that's performing well, and I can take 5 seconds of this video, put it in the front of my traditional campaign video which is really cheap and fast to make, right? And now I can combine that with these conventional assets, and I can make a new combined asset, which is performing better, not just on Facebook, but on Google Ads, on every other channel that we use. So now I can combine these, and I can make my other normal assets that were less expensive perform much better. And that's what this looks like. So now we've got our unconventional recuts, we've got our conventional recuts, we combine these. I'm not gonna count them, but there's many, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. So this basically means that we're not, we're spending 8 months making a video, but then we're using that for a year and a half, and this is driving campaigns and going over creative fatigue in a way that we can stretch this campaign out for 2 or 3 years. So we get all of our money back from this and much, much more. And once that's done, again, so there's product marketing. You know, this is like forming a message, talking to people, but you know, in mobile advertising, we're doing performance marketing. So this gives our marketing team all these different tools to use, and now they're gonna say, they're gonna run all these different ads, they're gonna see which ones perform better, which ones perform worse, see which channels each asset does better. And when they say, hey, I need 300 videos to test, we go, no problem, here you go. Here's 4,000, good luck, have fun. So, to conclude, basically, if you make human, naturally engaging content, you're gonna save money and you're gonna get higher performance. Do it, it's worth your time. Ta-da!